You know, one of the things that people very often ask me around Australia is, how do Australian companies compare with overseas companies, particularly US companies and European companies, in terms of their technology and the supply chain? Hi, this is Rob O'Byrne from Logistics Bureau, and I thought we would ask an expert opinion. And here we've got Mike Kotecki from Dematic in the USA. Great to have you with us, Mike.
Good to be here, sir.
And I was just asking Mike over lunch. He's visiting Australia for a week or so, and he's seeing lots of companies here. He's been talking at a conference and explaining some of the things that he's seen. And what does he see as an outsider to the Australian market as being quite different here in Australia in terms of technology and how companies operate?
You know, I really don't believe that the technologies differ that much. I think the folks here are applying a lot of the similar technologies, software intensive and automation intensive. My observation is that in Australia, maybe it's because of the size of the continent and the size of the population, things are a little more pragmatic. And I think there's more pragmatic applications where in the United States, we might put in a distribution center that the objective is to be lights out, door to door, very, very few employees. Everything is integrated. We talk about highly integrated automated systems. And there's clearly a place for that in Australia too. There's probably some instances where you have to have the full boat. But the sites I've had a chance to tour, some of the fantastic systems, more scalable, modular solutions where there may be islands of technology that get turned on and turned off inside a distribution center. Very pragmatic, very practical. Focus on high ROI. Don't focus on necessarily the completeness of the automation, but rather point solutions that make tremendous sense. There's a very spiky, as there are in a lot of industries, in a lot of continents, spiky utilization. So in those cases, maybe a piece of equipment or a piece of technology is not turned on. But the fundamentals are the same. The ASRS, automatic guided vehicles, conveyor. I believe e-commerce may be being a little stronger in the United States at this point. A little more focus on the omni-channel distribution and being able to handle that. From what I hear, drifting strongly in that direction here in Australia.
I mean, here in Australia, we think we have a very high labour cost and a very high land cost, and that you would think would drive higher degrees of technology. How do you see that comparison compared to the USA?
Absolutely, I think it's more consistent here, and you're right. The labour cost drives a lot, and when you talk to someone about an ROI on a technology investment in distribution, labor's number one. It's the highest tangible. In the United States, it varies wildly by geography, where in Manhattan or in Chicago area or Detroit, technology pays for itself because it's a high labor content or high unionization, where in other areas of the United States, lots of land, labor's inexpensive, more difficult ROI.
Okay,
yep.
Okay. Well, one of the things you mentioned over lunch there was the focus on safety, and I was quite surprised at your comment. You want to just comment on that again?
Yeah, it's tremendously impressive, and I think that the United States has a lot to learn from Australia in the area of safety and caring about humans. I saw a presentation yesterday where they listed their core values, and number one was employees and human concern, followed by customers and so on and so forth. And that's clearly illustrated in the propensity for safety. I visited 3 different systems yesterday, 3 automated material handling systems, 3 different customers, big name customers, and every one I took a 20-minute, I'm exaggerating, a 5 to 10 minute presentation and a test beforehand, literally a test before you could walk in, steel-toed shoes. I'm in a distribution center that handles cotton balls and I'm wearing steel-toed shoes. You know, so maybe a bit over the top, but always wearing a yellow vest, walking between the lines. We profess safety, and I think we do a practical job of that in the States, but be it government regulation or be it company regulation, it's much more impressive here, and I think that's something that the U.S. has to learn.
Yeah, okay. Maybe if I could just sort of pose a question to you, and I'll let you think about it a bit if necessary. Right. If you were going to give one piece of advice to people who are looking to maybe invest in greater level of technology or mechanization in their warehousing operations, what would you say to them? You know, what would be a key thing to consider or look at?
You threw me a softball on that one, because I gave a presentation on that this morning, and there's a number of things. Number one, I believe that the strongest in my belief is really take the time to look in the mirror. As much as our job here at Dematic is to impose automated material handling and technology solutions, taking the time to step back before you make that plunge and ask yourself some tough questions. How your company defines money, but what your customers' expectations are, the user experience, all those things are important. In my mind, if I had to be pressed for one, it would be does the company culture have the guts and the inclination to make changes? Companies that are successful, moving along quite well, developing their product, developing their marketplace, continue to do well. But it takes guts to say, I'm going to invest not in the machines that make my product, I'm going to invest in the supply chain, and I really hold that strategic. That's a big step, and you need to look in the mirror and ask yourself, do we really have the guts and the culture to say, I'm moving capital and I'm moving human energy from the manufacturing and production process, or maybe the marketing process, I'm going to move that to the supply chain. That's a big step. Has paid off for many, many successful companies, but you need to look in the mirror and ask yourself that.
No, that's a great response. So Mike, we better not take up any more of your time. So Mike Kotecki, Senior Vice President Dematic from the USA, really appreciate your comments today.
Thank you. Thanks for the time.